Hi there, everyone. It's Bob Martin, the RCSubGuy, and I'm late. I got stuck in traffic. I couldn't get back in time. But hopefully, there's a few of you stragglers still out there who may be holding out. If not, you know what? You can always take a look at this afterwards. And hopefully there'll be something interesting for you to see and or talk about. So I've got a few things. The newsletter went out today. Hopefully you guys are subscribed. If not, jump on my website and make sure that you subscribe to my newsletter. You can keep track of all of the news from the dry docks that are going on. The big one that I wanted to mention was the fact that I am in the process right now of securing a shop, which is pretty exciting to me because the entire business that I'm running right now is out of my garage, and it's out of our spare bedroom at the house here. So having a shop is going to allow me to stock a lot more inventory, deal with a lot more vendors, and hopefully get into some small scale production of cast parts. So super excited to see that there's at least a few of you still kicking around here. Again, I apologize for being late, but better late than never. Let's start by taking a walk around the shop, and we'll show you what I've got going on. As always, the whole purpose behind this is to answer questions that you may have. Use the chat feature. Let me know questions that you have about the RC submarine hobby, and I will do my very best to answer them to the best of my ability. There is, as I have said before, many people who are more experienced than I am, but I will relate to you my limited experience to the best of my ability. Let's get started here. Here's a little display model that I just finished up. As many of you know, the Nautilus holds a particular fascination for me. This is our little 31-inch kit. I say little, I mean it's almost 3 feet long, but it's a beautiful model mastered by Scott Brodeen. This particular one features a lot of detail pieces. This is something that I fashioned myself, the raised breather sections. These are 3D printed, and that's available on my website. Vulcania Volunteers skiff and propeller kit. This is all rigged up for special features. So we got control over exterior lights and interior lights, the attack lighting, functional propeller, and a floodlight, a blue floodlight to illuminate those really cool little white metal divers in there. So that's all finished up. That'll be going to New Zealand. So that's kind of it'll be a well-traveled model by the time it is all done. As I mentioned in my newsletter, I have finally had the opportunity to get back on this big German Type 21 model. You've seen this in the background of a lot of my videos before. It's a monster. It's almost 9 feet long. It's 1/30th scale. I'm going to take it basically one piece at a time. I've had the chance to work on the conning tower, which is right here. In one of my earlier videos, you saw the functional periscope system, which is basically a giant syringe actuated by pneumatics, so air. And when you pump air into it, the plunger extends, the periscopes lower, and obviously the reverse is true to extend the periscopes. So, one of the challenges with this, and a lot of functional components that you would have in a model submarine, is making everything fit. And as you can see, that conning tower is right in the middle of the boat. unfortunately, that is typically where you will put your ballast tank. So that is going to formulate a little bit of a challenge for me. A few different ways to attack it. I can split the ballast tank left and right, or front and back, but then of course you got to accommodate room for your drive system, your batteries, and all sorts of things like that. So stay tuned for that. We'll have a lot more information on that coming. I will show you a little bit of the drive system I got going on. David Merriman, who's online right now, might like this. This is a beastly watertight cylinder, 5-inch diameter, twin monster motors. These are supplied by the customer that contracted me to build the boat. I mean, this could literally drive a rowboat, but super low current draw. It'll push that boat along really, really well. Wanted to make sure, wanted to talk to some of these chats that we got going on. Revell Type 7C conversion. Yeah, so we offer at the dry docks a bespoke cylinder specifically for that boat. What that entails basically is the complete unit ready to go. It's got the electronic speed controller, all the servos, the ballast system, the end caps, the seals, all of the linkages, everything all ready to go. So it's a great way to get into the hobby. The plastic model conversions, a somewhat economical way of getting into the hobby. So if it's something that you're interested in, by all means, reach out to me. I can give you a quote on basically everything that I can offer for that. And we can take a look at that. Giant Japanese subs with the planes on top, like the I-400 or the Japanese B-class. The B-class was something that I thought was really cool. There's a bit of a backstory to that. So I lived in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada for a while, and actually during the early days of World War II, a Japanese B-class surfaced off of the coast of Victoria, British Columbia, Canada, and shelled the lighthouse at Estevan Point. This is a history lesson for you. But they missed, like, with every single shell, and it was one of the activities that the Japanese did that actually brought Canada into World War II. As a little bit of a conspiracy theory, if you want to talk about this kind of thing, there was a few people, some conspiracy theorists, who think that it was all engineered between the Prime Minister and the President of the United States to bring Canada into the war because they thought it was a mocked up American submarine that actually surfaced and shelled the Estevan Point. And the reason that they didn't hit anything was because they were trying not to. Look it up, it's quite interesting. But the boat that you're referring to, Scale Shipyard offers a B class. I believe it's 48 scale. It is a monstrous boat. Those submarines were huge. They had onboard hangars that would hold float planes, and the idea was that they would be able to surface, launch the planes, drop bombs, retrieve the planes, and you know, submerge without anybody being any the wiser. And the I-400s were even larger. They had 2 float planes on board. So very cool subject if you have the ability to model those. Let's take a look at this. Wow. I gotta scroll back up and make sure I haven't listed. From Quebec, Canada, fellow Canadian. Where do you start? Low budget and no equipment. I'm gonna be brutally honest with you, and I've told people this before. Low budget and RC submarine, they do not go hand in hand. For an entry-level sub, you're going to be looking at least $1,000 if you're looking at pre-bought components. I'm just being honest with you. You can save money to a little bit of money by scratch building yourself, but the time that you're going to lose is going to be years, and the frustration that you're going to experience is not worth the money. So I would say budget about $1,200. Get something like our excellent little blueback kit David Merriman cast up the parts for that one. The whole rear section is completely pre-assembled, ready to go. I would highly recommend that even before the plastic model kits. It's like $200 more, but it is a genuine, bona-fide, engineered RC submarine versus a plastic model conversion. So look for that blueback kit. You know, the other one that's actually quite good, is a little bit harder to put together, but I love, is the ARC model Type 7. About the same price range, but a bigger kit. It's a 48-inch long U-boat model if you like those World War II era boats. So take a look at the blueback. Take a look at the Type 7. So let's back up here because I'm losing a lot because you guys are putting so much in here. Take a look at the website. Absolutely. Are we going to release the DSV subkit, the Sequest? I'm assuming Sequest DSV is what you're referring to. Dude, you are like a year too late. Sorry to tell you, that was a limited run. Those kits were released, they were sold, and they are done. The master patterns, unfortunately, were damaged by the casting partner that I elected to go with. Cheap is good, but not good enough really to offset that tragedy. The masters were basically damaged to the point where we can't recast or remold, and without a tremendous amount of work. And I just don't have the time for that, unfortunately. So 20 kits went out. 20 kits is the run. I have one. That was the goal of it. If you got a kit, you're in luck. And if you don't, unfortunately, you are not. So it's a beautiful boat. It was a pretty cool kit. I'm sorry, but you know, maybe one day it will come out, but unfortunately, not anything in the near future. I want to start modeling myself something under $100 US. Dude, $100 US. You know what you'll get for that? You will get like an auto leveler and a receiver, and that is it. I'm going to be honest with you. You are in the wrong hobby if you are shopping for an RC submarine for $100. Pack up your bags and go buy yourself an RC car or a cheap little RC plane or something, dude, because you are not going to get anything for $100. Even if you scratch build everything and get it for a penny, by the time you buy your radio, you're over $100. So sorry, that's just the facts of life. I'm being honest with you. You can scratch build for that. And I've got on the lost foam method of fabricating hulls from foam, laminating with epoxy resin. So take a look at that if you want to give that a shot. For your first model, my advice, because I've gone down that path, is not to do the scratch build. You'll learn a lot, but the odds of you getting frustrated, losing interest in the project, and abandoning it are exceptionally high. My first RC submarine was scratch, and it took 3 years. If you're not willing to commit 3 years and hundreds of hours of your time, do not go that path. Save up, buy a kit, get a model operational, and then worry about scratch building. That is my advice to you. All right. Let's see here. Parts and fittings for the Nautilus submarine. So I've got that full list. It's under the accessory section of my website. Well, geez, what do I got? I got open ballast grates. I've got the upgraded breather flaps. I got the full salon interior. I've got LED lighting kits. I've got lots and lots of stuff. Full scale crew. Take a look at that if you're interested in that. The big kit everybody is interested in, and Dave is in here too. This is kind of all on him. It's in process. So just like last week, you guys, if you're subscribed, you saw a blog article. I went and I saw Scott Brodeen. He's the one that engineered the 48-inch model for EFX, which that big 48-inch kit is based off of. He was the reason that we've been waiting on getting a lot of the master patterns and molds for that 48-inch Nautilus kit. And I was out there, gosh, was it last week or the week before? I don't even remember anymore. It was lots. This is everything I walked away with. 16 boxes, 680 pounds of molds, of rubber. There's lots of 20K stuff in there. It's pretty awesome, including 48-inch molds. So we're going to get all that back. All the cast parts are going to be addressed. David Merriman, master of the RC submarine community, is looking after the fiberglass layup of the 48-inch molds from Scott's marvelous rubber molds. This is all coming down the tubes. I'm hoping maybe Christmas time. I'm not promising anything because I've got a full-time job. This is a hobby/business for me. I need to focus my attention on my family and my job that pays the bills. This will happen when it happens. Be patient. It'll be an amazing offering when it comes out. Be patient. Stay in touch, and we will take it from there. Let's see what else we got going on here. Lots of toys. Oh, DSRV. So you said Sequest DSV, but you meant DSRV. That's, oh my gosh. That whole project is hiding in a box right here. We've got the main bodies, we've got all of the hulls, the saddle tanks, we've got the rear sections, prop rings. You know what it's waiting on is for me to build up the prototype model in my free time, which I have lots of, as you probably know. So I've got something brewing right now, which I'm hoping works out well. It's a change in employment, which will mean I won't have to travel as much. Might be a slight delay between the two positions where I might have a week or two to allocate to finishing up some projects like this really cool Jules Verne Nautilus submarine that I've got hiding up there. The James Bond Lotus submarine from The Spy Who Loved Me, the DSRV, all of these brands in the fire that I'm working on. Eventually it will get going. Again, be patient. I apologize. Doing the best I can. Cool stuff on the horizon. And we'll take it from there. 2.4 gigahertz. This is a great robot. I'm glad that Floyd Standifer IV brought this up. Gigahertz radios are great for surface operation. They're great for airplanes. They're great for cars. You get massive range and distance in those high frequency transmissions, but high frequency transmissions bounce off of water. Unfortunately, you'll get an inch or two of penetration, and you're going to lose signal. David Merriman engineered a conversion kit for 2.4 gigahertz for, quasi-surface submerged operation of a submarine. The key to that is you need to maintain the antenna above the surface of the water, so he engineered an antenna extension that allows you, so long as that antenna is above the water, to use 2.4 gigahertz frequencies. There's options out there, including that VEX radio that I offer that allows full submerged operation. That we typically utilize in fresh water, like 30 feet down, if you're close to your boat, if you're over top of your boat. Fresh water is actually an excellent conductor of the radio frequencies. The depth and distance that you'll get of operation is a function of the depth and distance that you're at. The further away it is, the shallower you're going to need to be. But any contaminants in the water in the way of chemicals or biological contamination or minerals are going to severely impact the ability for you to control your submarine at depth. Absolutely not salt water, again, couple inches of depth. Chlorinated pools, a couple of times our pool guy put too much chlorine in there, and I'll get like 2 or 3 feet down, I'll lose signal because of the chlorine in the water, so that certainly affects it as well. Fresh water is great though. So you're going to be after the 75 megahertz frequency in North America, 40 megahertz frequency in Europe. That is what you need. 48 scale electric fish, assume you're talking about torpedoes. They're all engineered, you know, right here. This is my 32nd scale, you know, bodies that I've engineered. I've got all of my timers, my capacitors, my motors, you know, everything is all rigged up and ready to go. Now that my conning tower is complete for my 30th scale Type 21, I'm going to work on the torpedoes. And once the torpedoes are finalized, I can put a kit together and the kits will come out. And yeah, so that's next up. Hoping within 30 days you're going to see some information on that. For sure in 32nd scale. I'm not promising anything in 48th yet because I'm specifically focusing on the project in front of me that somebody has paid me for. Let's see here. What else have we got on here? Torpedoes, we talked about that. DSRV. Mr. Merriman, yeah, inch and a quarter above the water for those 70-second. If I buy the 70-second scale USS Gale by Revell and send it to you, how much will I need for payment to you? Well, you don't need to pay me anything to send it to me. But if you want me to build it up, unfortunately, I'm not taking on any new bills. The reason being is that I am basically booked and have been solid until well into next year. And as such, I am not accepting any new commissions. To be honest with you, I probably turn down 2 to 3 builds a week, you know, right now, which is great because I could, if I had the ability, pick and choose which projects I took on. But the problem is I just do not have the time. I mentioned it in a blog article before, but I mean, I'm up every day at 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I come in here, I work for an hour or two before I go to work. I'll squeeze in a workout every once in a while. I work 8 to 9 hours a day. I come back and then I reserve some time with my family. You know, weekends, might get 2 or 3 hours in first thing in the morning. So I'm doing the best that I can. Now, having said all of that, if you wanted a ballpark figure about what it would cost or what I would charge you for the buildup of that plastic model kit, those World War II fleet boats are a pain in the butt because of all of the details on the upper surface. You've got all of the rigging, you've got all of the conning tower, all of the details in the conning tower, all of the railings, all of the decks. It's not like a nuclear boat where it's basically like a cylinder with a top hat on. You know, I would say realistically you'd be looking at starting at around $3,000 for a turnkey model of a fleet boat of that size, and it goes up, up, up from there. So bear that in mind. Again, if you think it's expensive to buy the parts for an RC submarine, wait until you try and get somebody else to build it for you. Then you'll really feel the pain in the wallet. And just make sure that whoever you contract with knows what they're doing and they have a great reputation, that you feel comfortable with what they put out. And there's not a lot people out there right now who are taking on builds for other people, unfortunately. I wish I could do more. I would love to be able to earn a living doing this, you know, building subs for everyone, but unfortunately can't turn them out fast enough, can't earn enough money, have to go to my 9-to-5 job, and everybody's going to need to learn to build it themselves. On that topic, so many people ask me to build submarines for them, and I always tell them the best solution for you is to build it yourself. These are not cars, you know, they're not planes, they're not boats. These are complicated pieces of electronic and mechanical equipment. And if you contract somebody else to build it for you, what you end up getting is a highly complicated piece of equipment that you have zero idea how it operates. something goes wrong, if you need to maintain it, if it breaks, if you need to adjust trim, you will have zero idea how to proceed. Early in my building career, I happily took on as many projects as I could get on, and I think the record is about 6 times that somebody sent the model back to me for minor repairs, for adjustments, for retrimming. You do not want to be one of those people. Take the time, buy the parts. There's resources out there. I'm out there. Forums are out there. Ask your questions. Take it piece by piece. It's overwhelming at first. Like we say at work, you know, how do you eat the elephant? 1 bite at a time. You know, building an RC submarine is like eating an elephant. Set yourself some little battles. You know, today I cleaned the hull. You know, tomorrow I cleaned all of the flash off of it. The day after that, you know, I installed the servos. Minor battles like that will add up to a war that's won at the end of the day. So highly, highly recommend anybody interested in this hobby, take the time, engage your patience, and do it yourself. I am there, and many other people are there to help walk you through it. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, Jimmy, your skipjack. Man, did you get anything in the water yet? Because that was a cool boat. I love that thing. See my display room, hobby room. I've got a few, you know, the funny thing is I've been doing this for so long and I do not have one functional boat of my own. I've got a few projects on the shelf. A Kilo, I've got 72nd sail Foxtrot. I do have a 66-inch Nautilus, which I'm exceptionally proud of. One of those people that commissioned me to build a boat, 4 years elapsed. He did not run it once, and then he sold it back to me at the end of 4 years. But it's mine again. I built it. I love it. That's that Nautilus, my favorite boat of all. Conversion kits, you're talking about fittings kits. Those have been out of production for a while. A note on those, they are absolutely, absolutely not required to build an RC submarine out of those plastic model kits. Everybody thinks that you need to have them, and you don't. They make it easier. They get more people into the hobby because they don't need to do as much work. But you can fabricate everything that's in those kits yourself. So if you're holding off on a fitting kit to get into this hobby, bite the bullet. You know, it's not rocket science to build those pieces and parts. Again, there's lots of people who are out there to help you. There we go. I caught up, I think. If I forgot something, by all means, try it again. I'm trying to film myself, scroll with one finger, not drop the phone with the other. I really appreciate everybody joining in. You know, I got 30 people online right now, which is cool.